Right, without further ado, I'll introduce you to your guests for part one. George Cooper, Yasmin Mills, Drew Heatley and Adam Farquharson.
Fulhamish podcast, mate. Your independent voice of Fulham FC, mate. It's just who we are, mate. Hello and welcome to this live episode of the Fulhamish podcast here at the Half Moon Putney. On the show today in part one, we'll be looking back at today's win against Tottenham Hotspur. Let's just get straight into it. I'm joined by Drew Heatley. Yasmin Mills making her pod debut in the live show. And Mr. Adam Farquharson, how are we doing? Yeah, so Adam actually couldn't make it to the game today, sadly. He's got a bit of an ailment at the moment.
Yeah, I mean I've got gout at the age of 32. I cannot believe that Willian doesn't have gout. Like, it's insane. But yeah, I made it to today's thing. I got myself an Uber because I can't miss seeing you guys today.
Yeah, well, commitment to the cause. So Adam did watch the game on television. He's not just sort of raw dogging it. I'm relieved to say.
I mean, you say television, dodgy stream.
Dodgy stream. So he's kind of like, he's got the benefit of the live action replays. It's a bit like our kind of Stockley Park for today. So we weren't sure of anything. We could just
Stockley Park over in Hotspur Park. Yeah, that's right.
Exactly. You got some 3-word reviews.
I sure do.
I'm sensing there's going to be a slight theme to these ones.
I don't know what we have to talk about, really. So, kicking off, we've got Mark Weston, and this is a really important one. Check on Barnard. Liz, are you doing okay? Good, I'm glad that you're okay. We've got Yaz submitted one backstage, unofficial methods, but God Football Fish, as is said on his t-shirt. Thank you, Rodrigo Muniz. And then we've got Robin Smith, Brazilian Benjamin Button, related to Willian and his non-gouty foot. Chefestino with a man repossessed. Oh, I'm sensing the theme. Fulham Nick, grass wasn't greener. And then Fulham John, Sess spanked Ange. Alright, calm down.
Nice one, Adam. Would you like to decide the name of this podcast straight off the bat?
I'll get into too much trouble if I go with Sess spanked Ange. So I'm going to go with grass wasn't greener.
Grass wasn't greener. Very nice. And then normally with the Fulhamish podcast, we sort of go through things chronologically. We'll talk about the team selection, maybe the formation, but let's just talk about Sess. Come on, I think give the people what they want, right? Drew, 89th minute. I think, unless I'm mistaken, first touch of the game, shrugs off Ben Davies, and then unleashes what is going to be a moment that we talk about in Fulham Folklore for years to come. Just what a moment. Talk me through your emotions when you saw that goal go in from Ryan Sessegnon.
I mean, first of all, let's get that goal tracked to My Heart Will Go On immediately because the tears will be flowing even harder. I did actually have a little bit of a tear in my eye because it was just... I think everybody thought we were going to get him a little bit earlier today, and I think I was definitely not alone thinking I was a bit annoyed that he wasn't getting enough time. It was obviously, as you say, like 89th or 88th minute. And then, first touch, and so strong, like he shouldn't be scoring that goal really, like he had no real right to be doing that, and it was just great strength, fantastic finish, and talk a lot about narrative in football. It was written in the stars, wasn't it? And you talk about moments this season, and it's probably one of Spurs' worst moments, and definitely one of our best. And actually, when you start totting them up, you're losing fingers when you're totting up all these moments that we're having. So, yeah, fantastic, emotional, cathartic moment for him, and I think everybody was just, the limbs were everywhere, weren't they?
Oh, it was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful. Yaz, it just fell with that, the way that he just was tussling with David, it was like pure emotion. It's like he wanted that so badly, and then. Is there a better finisher? Is there any member of our squad that you want in that position to take that shot than Ryan Sessegnon at the moment? Because he just pops up, doesn't he?
Emotion-wise, no. I think that was absolutely perfect and made the win so more satisfying. Like, the first half actually was pretty dull, and it's so funny how quickly something can change when Sess scores. Like, honestly, I'm so happy for him, and it's even more amazing that he's doing it against Spurs. Like, it's the storyline, it's the pure cinema of it, which makes it so amazing. And yeah, tear in my eye. Also got a pounding headache from my dad giving me a massive elbow in the head during the celebration. That's great.
The limbs were flying absolutely everywhere. It was pandemonium. I couldn't really make out what was happening. It was absolute scenes. And Sess looked pretty sort of calm and composed in his celebration. You couldn't really tell. Like, we were talking about it backstage. Like, was he not celebrating out of mark of respect to Tottenham? Drew, you kind of had a theory it was just sort of like Cantona-esque swagger. Like, it was just sort of like, hey, if you had the benefit of the replay, can you talk us through what actually happened for somebody who was watching it on television?
I mean, through the tears, I saw some of it. My tears and his. So, to be honest, it was there celebrating in terms of hammy end, but he kind of wanted to hang back, and then Kearney was pushing him forward. And it was just like, this is your moment, Ryan. Go and stand in front of your fans. And he was crying, I was crying, my daughter was crying, everyone was crying. But it was just kind of standing there taking it in. And then there was a moment where he kind of touched the badge again, started crying again, and then there was a fight in the Fulham dugout. So I really want to know what happened between Ryan Sessegnon crying and with the Spurs assistant manager. Was he like protecting Sess? I don't know. But there was a fight, and I'm not going to speculate, but someone got sent off. So I think they were just sad that they had lost Sess and realised they'd made a massive transfer fuck up.
Yeah. He's just an enigma of a footballer, isn't he, Ryan Sessegnon? You know, we're all too familiar with how he burst into the scene with us in those championship years. And then I feel like Tottenham got him on the back of that kind of hype. Obviously it didn't work out, but come back and he's just having this resurgence at the moment, Drew. It sort of begs the question, like, where does he fit into this squad? Because he's had such an impact coming off the bench recently. You know, obviously he got a goal against Wolves when he had his start. And we've seen him come on against Manchester United on the right and cut and sub. We saw how effective he was there. He's really starting to impress, but at the same time, he just, I don't know, where does he fit? But no matter where you think he does, I've got the feeling that if you need a goal, he's the man that you bring on at the moment. He's our sort of danger man off the bench.
Yeah, and look, Spurs didn't know what they were buying, did they? They just saw that a young English player was doing well at Fulham, and obviously they've got the Google notifications about Fulham and anything that goes on, because they've poached so many of our decent players in the past, and it didn't work out quite so well for him. But we know, we've seen him now for so many years. We know that he's an attacking player, and he's got that eye for goal. And you can get pigeonholed if you're, playing on the left side and you're playing and you're a defender. Everybody thinks you're stuck at, left back for life. But for a start, we saw pretty soon that he wasn't that type of player. He's just more of that attacking. And now, what's really good about him coming back and starting to notch up these goals and having these impactful moments is that, when they say never go back, right? And when he comes back in the summer and the months go on and he's not really done anything, you start to wonder. Have we made this sentimental move? But actually now we're seeing that he's come back, he's getting back up to speed, he's here to contribute, and nobody's going to lose out from that. And you can just see from what it meant to him today that the grass wasn't greener, and I don't think he's going to go anywhere again. And if one thing we've seen from Marco over the years, if we've seen it 1,000 times, is that he knows how to coach players, he knows how to bring players back to their best, and we're seeing it again. And who's upset about that?
I was going to say credit Marco here, because he's managed his minutes carefully. And he's probably had to manage a lot in the background because Sess has probably come back. There's been a lot of expectation on his shoulders his whole career. And he's actually in a moment now where there's not much expectation. But when he does come on, he plays with freedom. And today I actually noticed it a little bit more. Sometimes when I've seen him from left back, he's kind of felt like he has to do something. Whereas today it's all about moments with Ryan's game. And he was absolutely legging it around the Spurs defenders. I mean, he didn't look like he was worried about his hamstring going. When he first came back to Fulham, he was running like he was kind of in treacle and making sure that he didn't break a limb. And I understand that he's been through hell and back, and I hope that with Fulham, if he's a moments player, fine, bring him on for moments. We've had plenty of players that have had just moments games for us. And if Sess wants to be one of those, or if that's where he fits in Marco's future plans, great, I'm even happy for him.
Yeah, it was, I can imagine you may start to get a little bit frustrated with Ryan, because as I said, his game is coming on leaps and bounds. He's playing so well, off the bench for us in the starts that he has had. So you may be forgiven if he thought, looks at the team sheet today and sees Willian starting ahead of him. But yeah, as I have to say, Willian was pretty exceptional for us today, I thought. I mean, he just continues to surpass our expectations and just shows that class is permanent. And yeah, what did you think of his performance today?
Yeah, he was amazing. Absolutely blowing by the end of it though. Like he's still getting absolutely exhausted by it. No, but he's just so skillful. He's so classy. He's kind of got this Tom Kearney-esque element about him now, where he can just control a game, calm it down. And he was so integral to those link-up play between ESR and Berger and Robinson, and it worked really, really well. I thought he was great actually when he came on at United as well with Sess. That was really nice, their link up there as well. I don't know why we're so surprised that Willian is a good player. He just is. He's amazing. I'm so happy that he's back at the club and still going. Yeah, he was brilliant today, although, yeah, definitely needed to go off what he did.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about the game a little bit. We've obviously sort of front-ended this with Ryan Sessegnon chat, as I said, but I mean, Drew, what did you think of Tottenham?
Shit.
Oh dearie me, they've had a horrible time.
We
this
didn't
year.
rehearse that, by the way.
They've had a horrible time this year, and I think the first half, there wasn't an awful lot of quality either side really. I think, you know, going in 0-0 was probably a reflection, but Spurs, in particular the second half, they just sort of, I think it was their substitutions ultimately that surrendered the game to us, because, you know, they really, really lost control, especially in that second half.
They had a really good bench, and it was just the way that they implemented who was on the bench and who they took off just didn't work for them, wasn't it? And, you know, it's a good job we had those final 10 minutes that we had, because it was a terrible advert for the Premier League for the first 70 minutes. And if you're, you know, I think all four of us were sort of sweating, thinking, oh, fuck, what the fuck are we going to talk about? I had a list of like really boring points that I was going to make, and thank God I don't have to pull any of them out. So yeah, it was, I think Postecoglou's having a terrible time, isn't he? And he's not helping himself. But for us, it was just another sort of Marco Silva masterclass, because his first two subs were superb. Traore and thank you. Muniz, the goal scorer, changed the game. I thought there wasn't much going on the right before Traore came on, and he's just so powerful and strong and fast, and he's got that eye. And Muniz, I think, he's going to leave for big money, and I'm already upset about, you know, who's going to take him. It'll probably be Spurs.
I think one of the interesting points there that you made is that he changed the game by bringing off Alex Iwobi, really, which is quite insane. He wasn't having his best game for us, but I feel sorry for Alex, because if you're looking at that midfield and you've got ESI, you've got Pereira, you've got Iwobi, I think he was just because he was on the right, he was coming off, and because the others can't play it. But I think starting those three, I hope that Silva has looked at it and gone, this isn't fair on Sanderberger. We can't put him in the midfield and just have everybody running kind of, I'm not saying riot, because it's a very calm riot in front of him, but just running riot in front of him, because Iwobi doesn't operate best then. I think he really needs, maybe he was giving him a rest ahead of Palace in a couple of weeks' time, I don't know. But I think I felt really sorry for Alex Iwobi coming off, and I was thinking, I'm not sure that's the right choice. But this is why Marco Silva is a football manager, and I sit at home in my office.
Yeah, as you and I were chatting on the walk from the grounds to here about, I said I thought the game sort of changed when Muniz came on, because I thought his aggression, like, I know that Raul wasn't, but I thought that he really sort of was a handful for Tottenham. And then you said that you felt it was when Romero got taken off that was when the sort of momentum swung back in our favour.
Yeah, 100%. I thought Raul Jimenez was completely decent in the first half. He always is.
Yeah.
I do love Jimenez, but you know, that's just what happens. That's how it works now. Muniz now comes on, and he did. I'm not saying that Muniz didn't do a good job. I just think he was licking his lips that he was now having to deal with Archie Gray and Ben Davies. Like, if you're going to deal with any centre backs, it's them. Thank you very much. I will score from that. He was all over them. I think that was probably the main thing. I mean, I thought the same as you, Drew. I thought that I was quite scared about their bench actually looking pretty good for Spurs. They've got Pedro Porro there, Maddison. When Maddison came on, he was useless. He didn't really do a lot. Credit to us, I guess. But yeah, I was quite, especially Son coming on. Bergvall looked quite dangerous when he came on.
Yeah, he thought he looked alright.
Yeah, penalty. I mean, I'm sure we'll come on to that later. But yeah, I think it's more to do with the fact that Muniz was able to be unpredictable and run riot around those two Spurs centre backs. And obviously, it ends up in a gorgeous goal from him.
Yeah, it was so good. I mean, I'm wearing a shirt now, God Football Fish. Best 30th birthday present I received, hands down. Not available anywhere. This is a custom. So if there is an appetite for it, let us know when we get some more printed up. But I mean, Drew, you say that you reckon he's going to go for big money. He's still got that unpredictability. I think he looks at, when you see like somebody who's got a new dog and it's like an Alsatian that's like sort of 3 months old and it's just kind of like paws are really big, ungainly, but it's going to be an absolute bruiser when he's fully grown. Still feel like that a little bit with Muniz, but the cultured nature of his finishing now. The goal, I need to soak it in and look back at it properly, but it reminded me a lot of the goal he got against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, just taking it really quickly, finding that corner, and I mean, it was some finish.
The way that he knew exactly where it was going, the speed, by the way, like it just felt like it was in slow motion, didn't it? I said to my dad I could have put the kettle on in the time it took for it to get back in there. But like leaving the goalkeeper, we even got that in a month of Sundays, and yeah, he's still got some of those sort of raw attributes. I think it was Jack Collins who called him a baby giraffe not too long ago, and that was accurate at the time. But now he's developing so fast in front of our eyes that I think it's sometimes quite easy to sort of take for granted and miss. And that's a credit to Marco Silva once again. That's why he brought him in. But like his positioning, his eye for goal, his understanding of the game, and I'm convinced he will go for a decent fee at some point. And I don't want to think about it yet. But he's impressed me no end, and I just think the sky's the limit at the moment for Ollie.
I mean, you wrote a piece not too long ago, unless I'm mistaken, about how he's already become a cult figure at Fulham. Yes. And he continues just to sort of cement himself in sort of Fulham folklore, really.
Yeah, it was on Fulhamish.co.uk. Check it out if you don't visit there on a Monday morning. We talk a lot about the Barclaysman, and he's like the modern day's Barclaysman, isn't he? He's Premier League box office, and like you see with Sess's goal, he knows exactly where the camera is. I'm going to leapfrog over a full-grown adult man. Saying, if I was going to do that to you, George, I think I'd probably break your spine. There's no way you'd be giving me a piggyback or something. He is value for money, isn't he, in every sense? And like we'll look back and it'll be one of those streets don't forget players, won't he?
Yeah, he's a chaos merchant, and like I put him in the same bracket of Traore in that respect. And you need to have a certain amount of chaos in the team. If it's too organised, it's boring. If it's too chaos, it's Ange Postecoglou's team. But we just need the right amount of it. And to bring him on with 20 minutes to go, I remember I saw an interview with Tom Kearney, and they were just saying who is most likely to injure someone in a game, and you were thinking who's the angriest player, and everyone at the training round saying, it's Sasa Lukic, it's Don Traore, and Tom Kearney just says it's Rodrigo Muniz. He has absolutely no control over any of his limbs. And we see it now, and it's literally when he swung his foot in, you say he placed it perfectly. He did, but I don't think he has any idea. I think his right foot is basically like a golf club, and he's just like, I'm going to swing it there, and it goes in the goal. And it's great, but when it doesn't come off, he does look like that baby giraffe all over again. And I just really hope that if he gets some level of, I don't want full control from him, because that would be really, 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 really boring. I want him to be chaos, and I want him to come on for the final few minutes, but if he can do that for a whole 90, wow, we've got quite a cup tie in a couple of weeks.
Oh yeah. He's sort of the player. He is to Fulham what Liverpool wished Darwin Núñez was, essentially. Exactly. Let's go on to a few, generally the officiating, because in the first half, Fulham, I had what it looked from my seat to be a very, very big penalty shout. It was a shove on Raul Jimenez, sent him flying. He'd already committed himself to the air and landed in a heap. From where I was sat, I don't know what you guys think, but it looked like a penalty to me. For the benefit of the replay, from your hospital beds.
Yeah, benefit of the replay. It's a stone waller. Apart from the fact that this is kind of the Drew thinks I'm boring with this comment, but I don't care. Burden of proof with VAR. If the ref hasn't given it, they're not going to overturn it. Because it's like, I don't know, it's a bit, don't worry, the game's carried on, we're going to carry on here. And the ref wanted to keep the game flowing so well, which we say about a lot of refs, they stop the game too much. Today, he kept the game going, so credit in that respect, because it was more fun to watch. But when you miss something like that, and Jimenez has been pushed in the back fairly clearly, he's lying in a heap on the floor, he was in the penalty box, it's a penalty, I'm afraid. But in the second half, we talk about the wall of justice that our friend Thomas Frank had in the dressing room. By the wall of justice, it's 1-1, because we definitely gave away a penalty against you can boom if you want, against Calvin Bassey on Bergvall. Sorry, but it is definitely a penalty. He's tripped him up in the box, but because he's moved on so quickly, VAR aren't going to overturn it. So I actually think on the balance of probabilities, that's good, because we went and scored 2 goals. But if we're at 1-0 up and Spurs had that opportunity for the penalty, they could be angry for that reason. I think the thing is, with referees, if we're going to turn around and say, oh no, I wish they stopped the game at every opportunity and VAR analyse every single thing, for us in the stadium, or you in the stadium, me at home, it's really boring to watch, because you're just stop-start, and I don't love American football enough for that to be what I'm watching week in, week out. But if you want a ref that is going to keep the game going, keep it flowing, you can't play foul football, fair enough. But I think there has to be a level of, you're going to make mistakes, and that's what happened today.
Yeah, where do you stand with it, Yaz? Because the ref, we knew it was going to be a sort of end-to-end game. The Ange Postecoglou sides clearly, famously don't hold back and sit back. So you knew it was going to be kind of a bit frantic and end-to-end, and there was one spell in the second half where they were just kicking the shit out of each other, basically. It was like a Sunday League game. The ref was like, play on. But are you all for that, or do you think like you've got to find a bit of a balance?
This is maybe controversial, but I don't mind it too much. I prefer when the referee lets it go. Not to say that Madley today was that great, I would say. But there was one that I actually found really frustrating, because as you say, AF, the penalties cancel themselves out. Mine was the Willian should have been yellow card. That really annoyed me, actually. That was the one where I was like, that's so obvious. I was up on my feet for that, and it takes a lot for me to get up on my feet for a ref. So yeah, that's the one that I find most frustrating. But all in all, I'm generally okay for a ref to keep it going. I find it more frustrating if it's stop-start, and I think it made today more entertaining, and maybe it played into our favour.
Yeah, I mean, overall, Drew, I think there's no argument that Fulham deserved to win that game, although it didn't really kick off until the last sort of 15 minutes. But then, after that, we could have, I think, maybe added 3 or 4, you know?
Yeah, and look, Spurs are obviously below us on the table, and it's easy to get sort of stuck with that old top 6 bias from 10 years ago. But actually, we played most of the game like we knew we were better than them, it's just we weren't doing too much with it for the first 70. But yeah, after that, when it all kicked into gear, we put the afterburners on, the atmosphere as well just suddenly kicked into life as well. It was like for the last sort of 10 minutes, everything was just electric, wasn't it? On the pitch, in the stands, it was, if only that could have been like that for the whole 90 minutes, it could have been a cricket score, to be honest. But yeah, so I think it's another sort of indicator of how this season's going. I'm pretty pleased, because I thought with Palace on the horizon, and obviously the sucker punch last week, I thought we might just not be up for the league, just be putting that on ice for the end of the season. But we've got 8 or 9 games left, and that's a lot of points to play for, and there's a lot going on. And we can't put all of our eggs in the cup basket, as much as emotionally I absolutely am. We could achieve special things through other means. I mean, it's quite fast. It's like quite amazing. We've got 2 fronts to fight on at the end of March, as it is. So pleasing overall. So much to play for. It's going to be really interesting in the next sort of couple of months.
Yeah, for sure. There was another chance where the game was at 0-0. There was a beautiful link up between Andreas Pereira and Willian, the Samba boys, and then Willian just curled it within a cat's whisper of the post. It looked incredibly close from where we were sat. AF, was it as close watching it on TV? Because that would have been some finish from about 25 yards out.
Absolutely was. It was a whisker away, but I've come full circle with my love of Willian. I went from, this guy's going to be crap, I've seen it at Arsenal, I'm not really sure what we're going to get, to Willian is the best player in the world, oh my god, I want to lace his boots, to Willian doesn't want to play for us anymore, he can leave our club, to Willian has left. It's a proper toxic relationship. And then Willian is back, I'm not sure he should be back. I've listened to 2 sides of the argument, I'm not sure he should play. He's played 10 minutes, oh my god, Willian's amazing too. Now, oh my god, my second ball is going to be called Willian. But it's at the point that if Willian comes on in any game, I reckon he will just keep doing this for years on years, and he'll come back when he's like 50. And it's like, why are we surprised, as Jazz said at the start of this pod, why are we still surprised that Willian is really, really good at football? He can't run, he doesn't have to be able to run. I reckon, again, bringing up gout, I reckon if he got gout, he'd be fine. He's still going to pitch, Samba boys, no problem, playing flip-flops, and he'd still be better than every single Spurs player on the pitch. When they missed out on that transfer with Willian, I think that was the turning point. That was their sliding doors moment.
Yeah.
If they had got Willian, they would actually be the best team in the world.
And if you need any more evidence about what a true pro Willian is, when he was about to go off, my dad said he's not coming off. He was running towards the centre circle because he could then have longer to lap up the applause. He knows exactly what he's doing. What a bloke! What a bloke!
He just defies the laws of physics and time and space. Like the guy is like it doesn't look like he's aged a day since he was at Shakhtar Donetsk essentially. I remember after the Carabao Cup game against Liverpool up at Anfield, I believe he scored in that game, and he scored. But anyway, yeah, and we were chatting to some Liverpool fans in the pub afterwards, and they were like, "Willian scored. He's been scoring against us for 20 years. Like, when is the guy going to retire? We're going to have a party. But yeah, it just doesn't. He just won't go away. He'll be playing for us in 5 years' time. I'm convinced of it. Yes, I mean, we're not want to dwell on Tottenham too much, but it's looking pretty bleak for them. I feel like they're a side who are kind of. I don't know whether they lack an identity or are too far down the road in this like identity that clearly isn't working for them. But I don't know. Like Ange Postecoglou at the final whistle looked like a sort of defeated man in every single sense. But it can't be long for him, surely.
I think defeated is the exact word to use for Ange and Spurs. I think he's been riding on the excuse of injuries, and now, especially in this game, like that crisis is over, really. They're all back pretty much, apart from like Kulusevski and stuff, but like he's coming back next month. I think it really is coming to the end, and I'm quite happy to see it. I mean, I think there is the element though of they might keep him in for the Europa League. If I was a Spurs fan, you forget about the league. It's been bleak all season, and you just forget about it. Like it's a failure of a season for them, and you focus on the Europa League. So maybe to get rid of Ange at this point, it's maybe counterintuitive. So that's the only thing which I could see keeping him in the job. But yeah, it's been a pretty bleak season overall for them. But the injury crisis is on its way to finishing. So I don't really know what his excuse is anymore. He can't, and he's just so set and so stoic in his manner of playing that you've got to change it up. If something like this, clearly it isn't working, he's just so stubborn with it, and I think people, if they weren't frustrated already, they probably will be now.
And we've got a bit of a problem on our hands, because if Ange gets sacked, I mean, I'm glad that we're still in the we're still in the FA Cup, because Marco Silva has something if it happens now. But if it's after that, and they've just seen what they have today, the manager being able to turn around the game that it didn't look like either team really wanted to win that badly, they'd be looking in Marco Silva's direction, and they'd be done not to. So I would be kind of concerned if that happens.